Hey nerds, have you ever had someone do a first impression of your favorite game and they said it didn't have story and you disagreed? Well, here's my first impression of Guild Wars 2 since I just got to chapter 1 of the Norn story, and I'm here to help decide. And of course, I'm not a professional, but I think it'd be fun to see if Guild Wars 2 has a story. Let's find out. One of my biggest pet peeves, especially coming from WoW to FF14 and now to Guild Wars, is when other people try out a game and they automatically assume that it doesn't have story because it isn't the same as what they're used to. Or it was tougher for them to realize that the story was all around them to begin with, and that they didn't necessarily have to look or have it be streamlined or laid out in front of them. Maybe that's something that you prefer, and maybe you don't prefer story at all. But racing to max level and then claiming that a game is lacking in that department is one of my biggest qualms. So here we discuss the story in Guild Wars 2 and how I came to the decision that I did about whether or not the game actually has story and how intricate the story actually is. So I'm going to make a major statement here, and feel free to disagree, but I believe that the story doesn't start at chapter 1. I believe that the story starts during character creation, when you choose all of the options to change your character's personality and see how it grows later on in the game. Mainly because there are a ton of options that come up in dialogue when you talk to essentially any NPC later on. I also feel like once you go into the map, there are a lot of things that contribute to how you'll accept the story once you move into it. Of course, I wouldn't make such a claim if I didn't have proof. The very first thing that you do when you get into the game is do the tutorial. And the first thing that you have in the tutorial is a big ice worm boss that is supposed to teach you how to dodge, watch for void zones, and watch for boss mechanics with their movement. Now, at the end, once you slay Isormir, is the name of the ice worm, you're told that he will be there forever and that he probably has magical power still in the earth where he died. They then talk about how you have all of these wild spirits that are around you and how you can ask for their boons to help you with anything that you're doing, and how it's best to put your faith in those animal spirits because they helped protect you from Jormag, the big dragon. Now, you don't see Jormag yet in the gameplay, but you know that he's a threat and you know that he's going to come up eventually. So even there, before there's a story 1 chapter title for your quest, you have a bit of story. After you've completed the tutorial, you can actually go back to the same spot where you'd slain Isormir. Funnily enough, you're called the Slayer after that. And you can go back and get a magical boon from his essentially ice corpse as well. So that already comes into play if you go and get that hero point and is part of the story. The extra power that you can get from the environment around you. Afterwards, most people would go out and explore the map, do all of the hearts, check out all of the points of interest, and make sure they've gotten all of the waypoints. Now, when people do all of the hearts, they're just thinking that it's a different form of questing. It's not going up to someone with an exclamation point over their head and receiving a little bit of dialogue about why you need to kill some things and bring back some skins. But it's more of, you need to defend our area, you need to defend your animal spirits for them to give you said boons that you heard about in the tutorial. See the connection there? And you find out about all of these bad, essentially, tribesmen that you need to keep an eye out for, which is really exciting because it's not just a heart to get experience from. It's story. It's right there. It's right there in front of you. You can also take note that after you get these wild spirit boons and you see how that connection works, when you move north, you come across the Sons of Svanir, who you find out are still worshipping Jormag, and you also come across the Jotun, who on the surface seem kind of dumb and seem like they'll bandwagon to anything that is more powerful than they are to prove how their prowess has grown and to be as great as they once were. You get all of this again from doing these hearts, which is absolutely amazing. I spent a lot of time afterwards when I did all of the main hearts in the 1 to 15 zones. I went to Holbrack, and I don't have footage of it at the moment, but I was really excited because you got to come across like all of this Viking style aesthetic and all of this really neat architecture. And I'm really excited about Vikings and like Nord culture, so it was really neat to me on the surface. But then when you delve even deeper, there are statues that are up for all of these animal spirits that, if you actually read what they say, had sacrificed themselves in the fight against Jormag. So you can't receive their boons, but you can feel them, and you know that their presence was available when you were in your time of need, essentially. And if you go in this area, there's a little cave, and you see that it's guarded by Sons of Svanir, and you see that they're neutral here. You don't have to fight them like you have for all of the hearts because Holbrack is a neutral zone, but people still aren't allowed in their section of Holbrack. After coming across them, I went into one of the main halls and saw this big, what looked like ice sculpture. And I kept asking everyone in chat, because I was streaming it, what it was, and no one would answer. They kept saying it was spoilers. And obviously, I was talking to everything and inspecting everything because that's the way I play an RPG. And I realized that you could try to chip at this massive sculpture thing, and I couldn't do it. And I talked to a couple of NPCs around it and found out that it was Jormag's tooth, and found out who was able to get it, and that no one's been able to chip it since. And that also ends up being a part of the story later on too. So if you actually talk to everyone like some people play an RPG, you can get story that way too. Anyway, that was a very long-winded explanation of how you can get story from bits and pieces just out in the world, and I don't think a lot of people have seen that, especially people that do first impressions of the game that claim that there's no story. Just there, it is my opinion that the lore is very deep in this game, and that's before we've even gotten to the Chapter 1 Norn story, which we'll do now, and I can point out the connections. Here, we already see that big ice sculpture thing, or what I thought it was. Jormag's tooth come into play.
Oh, you're mighty confident for one so young. Reminds me of me after I won the Great Hunt. Oh, but that was a long time ago. I chose smithing over hunting, and I never regretted it. Now it's time to forge my masterpiece. A mighty weapon to break Jormag's tooth.
Nothing has so much as scratched the tooth in over 100 years. What makes you think you could craft such a thing?
Deldrimore steel. If I can get my hands on enough of it, I can make a weapon to shatter mountains. The secret of the alloy was lost with the dwarves, but I can smelt existing relics into the steel I need. Such artifacts have surfaced in a Jotun cave near Grollenfjord. Yeah, that's why I sent for you. If you can beat back the Jotun and collect the artifacts I need to forge the weapon, you might be worthy of bearing it.
So, your killing Isormir to become the wanted slayer is now coming into play as well, and you hear mention of the Jotun that you've already had to fight out in those hearts.
We will make another offering. A hunter who wandered too close. He is strong. His sacrifice will gain us power. We could butcher an entire homestead without this dragon. This ceremony is a waste. That faithless attitude is the reason for our decline. Don't be so eager to embrace ignorance. We live no better than animals. Ignorance is relying on others to save us. That will be our downfall.
So they aren't as rabid as they had seemed, but they are looking to redeem themselves. And speaking of a dragon, could the Jotun be worshipping Jormag too? And is this hunter a sacrifice to get Jormag's boon? And we learned about how to get boons previously by helping animal spirits in the parts on the map? Hmm.
I brought your dwarven steel, blacksmith. I also saw the bodies of the other hunters you sent. Those Jotun are worshipping the ice dragon.
Bear's breath. I didn't know that. I'll take the steel off your hands, but I can't do anything about the Jotun. Though I do know someone who can. Do you know Erstagulkin? Tall, beautiful, travels with a huge black wolf. She killed one of the ice dragon's strongest lieutenants.
Of course. She fought beside me against Isormir, and I've heard songs of her epic deeds at several moots.
She could help us. And not to be a gossip or anything, I hear she's taken quite an interest in you since the Great Hunt.
In me? Why?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure. Perhaps you impressed her. In any case, ask her about these Jotun, and I'm sure she'll lend a hand.
Kind of like how I mentioned part of the story was in the tutorial. You actually end up working with an NPC who helped you kill the ice worm.
It's good to see you again, Slayer. You look troubled. What's wrong?
I've been to the Jotun caves near Grollenfjord. They're worshipping the elder dragon Jormag.
Jotun are fanatical about their old ways. They wouldn't worship Jormag. Unless... What do you know about the Sons of Svanir?
I know they're the idiots who embrace the ice dragon as a spirit of the wild.
From what you saw, so do these Jotun. There has to be a connection. There are Sons of Svanir near Hirbat's camp. They might be involved. This is definitely worth a Slayer's attention. If you're willing, Garm and I will meet you there. Let's see if we can persuade the Sons to tell us what's going on.
That sounds perfect. Erstagulkin, side by side with the Slayer of Isormir. The Skalds will sing of this for generations.
Careful. Skalds also sing of noble hunters dying grisly deaths. But with Wolf's help, we'll give them something better. See you there. The Sons of Svanir are close by. We can try talking to them, but they hate anyone who doesn't serve their dragon, and they utterly despise women.
Maybe Garm should take the lead.
I'd originally thought hearing this was intriguing too, because like I said, I explored Holbrack, and one of the areas in Holbrack you can go into is an instanced area, which you can see statues erected for all of the legends in Holbrack, all of the Norn who have completed these insane tasks or had skalds singing about them for ages to come. And one of them is Jorah, who is a kinslayer and a woman, obviously a powerful woman, regardless of being a kinslayer. So it's just neat that the Sons of Svanir are not happy about women, and I'm excited to see how this plays out further in the story.
Bad idea. Garm leads with his teeth.
Well, well. Look, brothers. A stranger, a woman, and a mangy dog. It's like the beginning of a bad joke.
We're here about Jotun worshipping the ice dragon near Grollenfjord.
Go back to carving stones, Stagulkin, and take your dogs with you.
Seems you boys didn't understand the lady. I'll say it slower. Tell us about the Jotun and the dragon.
You should have left when you had the chance. Now you die.
Obviously, Aaronine didn't die, and what came next was really, really neat.
Start talking. Tell us how you converted the Jotun, or we'll whip you through the streets of Holbreck with a lash made of Air's braids.
You wouldn't dare. I'd be slaughtered by my own comrades.
Then tell us what we want to know.
All right. We converted the giant King Korag. He converted his followers in Ozenfold Shear.
This Korag sounds ambitious. The Jotun haven't had a giant king for centuries, and the last thing Holbreck needs is one that worships Jormag.
Drag this fool to Holbreck and give him to the Wolfborn. I'll head for Ozenfold Shear and have a word with Korag, the giant king.
Wolf Shaggy Hide, you're a bold one. Be careful. There's glory in fighting impossible odds, but it's hard to brag when you're dead.
Don't worry, we'll share a drink to victory in the Great Lodge when I return.
We then find out that the Jotun are trying to relive their best life, and they're under the influence of the wrong Giant King who's been lied to by the Sons of Svanir, who are trying to convert people to worship Jormag, and that he's going to try to get Jormag's boon, which I, at the time, didn't think that this was actually going to work because of what you had to do to get the boons previously on the hearts on the map, which is amazing. Plus, he's technically not a wild god, so you would think that you wouldn't be able to get a boon from him, but he does. And instead of actually just going in and being all vicious and starting to invoke some fisticuffs, I decided that to keep with the whole idea of the animal spirits and helping us in our time of need, that I would actually request that the wolf help us for our final battle.
Where is Korag? Your giant king is a weakling and a coward. I challenge him to single combat.
You're not worthy to even speak his name. Run while you still have legs. Korag rules these mountains. He will unify all Jotun behind his iron fist.
If I need to kill you and every other Jotun here to get Korag's attention, so be it.
If you truly wish to be tested, the worship stone behind me is an ancient and holy relic. Its power judges any who touch it. Fail and die.
Touching a rock earns me the right to fight Korag?
Walk away while you can still mock death. Otherwise, we'll mock your smoldering corpse.
Tell Korag to prepare for battle. This won't take long.
From the shadows of memory, I salute you.
Who are you?
I am the elder known as Norn. I was a giant king when the Jotun ruled all that we surveyed. My people were proud and strong. Now, I am but an echo of the past.
Your people are in great danger. Korag has begun to worship the Ice Dragon, a creature that will destroy them. The Ice Dragon has already brutalized my people. It will corrupt and consume the last of yours if Korag has his way. Help me stop him.
The blood of giant kings flows in Korag's veins and gives him great power. I cannot stop him, but I can tell you the tale of the giant kings. Perhaps that will help you save my people from this fate. I will show you the Jotun of ages past, when we strode over the world as mighty lords. Witness the savagery, greed, and vanity that ended our glorious rule. Once, we were as gods. Behold, at the height of our power, arrogance and jealousy led the Jotun to civil war. Our blood is the blood of the mountains. In it, there is power. And so we fought. Over blood itself. Thraxes, I shall feast on your beating heart. I am king, and this land is mine. You're a pretender, Bolkar. Not a king, not a brother. Burn this land before I yield it to you. The giant kings turned on each other. Brother murdered brother. Son murdered father. What we did not realize is that with each death, we weakened the very blood we sought to claim. We tore ourselves to ribbons, scrabbling for power. Now, we bicker over mere scraps. If Korag sacrifices his people to the Ice Dragon in his lust for power, our fall will be complete, and the Jotun will be no more. All will remain is empty markings on snow-covered stone. Nothing happened. No flash. No fire. No, I felt the stone's power. Something happened. We just didn't see it. Arrogant insect. You dare challenge me. You are nothing.
And you are nothing compared to what your people once were. Throne showed me the truth. Your lust for power will destroy your people, as it did in the old days. I came to challenge you, but for Elder Throne's sake, I'm giving you this chance. Reject the dragon. Your people have already suffered enough.
Pity from a Norn. I expected more. Jormag will give us the strength to restore our glory. We will rule the mountains again.
The Ice Dragon makes slaves, not kings. Ask the Sons of Svanir where their glory is, and you'll see that you've been lied to.
I will go and demand Jormak's blessing. When I return, I will show you the power of my faith. I challenge you to do the same.
Done. But I warn you, be wise as well as strong, Korag. If you insist on serving the Ice Dragon, I will cut you down.
Is that the Norn who doubts Jormak? Ha! Fangs and fur won't save you. Ah, look upon me now, little one, and see the might of a giant king.
I see nothing more than a creature who sold his soul and his people for power, and was duped into slavery.
I'll tear you in half, and lay the pieces on Jormak's altar. The dragon keeps its bargains. I am undefeatable. The Jotun will rule the Shiver Peaks once more. Fool to challenge the king of the Jotun.
Look up. He's showing signs of
Jormak's reward.
Stay on the
Cannot
offensive.
win.
He can't last much longer. I thought they'd quit after we killed Korag, but here come more.
See what became of your leader? This is what the dragon offers. Lies, broken promises, and death.
Korag sold himself for power, and it led to his death. Do you intend to join him?
No. One day we will be powerful again, but not through the dragon's influence. We go now.
They were a proud people once, but pride became arrogance and strength. Brutality. I pray we never walk that path.
We won't. Not with leaders like you guiding us.
You are a bright spirit, Slayer. You have the potential to accomplish great things, to be immortalized in song and in stone. In my youth, some said that of me, but I fell short. But my tale is not over. I can teach you what I know of the world and how to face its dangers. Return to me when you are troubled, and I will lend you aid.
It would be an honor. Until we meet again.
So, does Guild Wars 2 actually have story? Well, in my opinion, after completing the first set of hearts on the map and then doing the Chapter 1 story, I think yes. And I think it's a lot more intricate than people give it credit for. And I'm excited to see what the next chapter is and what all of the hearts and exploration and all of the little tidbits and Easter eggs lead me to see before I even get to the second chapter of the story.